invite each one to do that, then I think that would work well.
Okay, so I'm going to skip the staff for now, and I'd like to start with Sarah Wenzel.
Hi, I'm at the University of Chicago, where I'm bibliographer for literatures of Europe and the Americas, and I'm here because I'm convener of the Modern Language Association International Bibliography Discussion Group.
Wonderful. Scott M.
So this is Scott Marsalis, and I'm a social sciences librarian at the University of Minnesota. And I'm here because I'm one of the co-chairs of the new interest group for supporting systematic reviews and related methods.
Great. Now I'm trying to get back to the list I was looking at because somehow it went to chat. Carissa Powell, she has her video off. Oh, mic's on now.
I have audio though. Hi everybody, my name is Carissa Powell. I am the Student Success Librarian at the University of Tennessee, Knoxville, and I'm here today because I'm going to be next year's convener for the ACRL FYE discussion group.
Thanks. Thank you. Kelsey.
Hello,
O'Brien.
I'm an information literacy librarian at the University at Albany, SUNY, and I am the incoming co-convener for the Digital Badges interest group. So I'll be convening that with Tori Raish.
Thank you. Hannah Rempel. She might be a chat box. Oh, there we go.
Nope, I just unmuted. Hi, I am convening the Academic Library Services for Graduate Students group. And I missed the earlier introduction because my time zone was confused, although Cheryl should know what time zone I'm in.
I do know that, yeah. So, so now I have some initials. This is interesting. I've got KYM. Is this Kimberly by chance?
Yep.
Hi.
Hi, it's Kimberly Keaton. That's my nickname. Kim is so fly. I am an entrepreneurial librarian with Bakista Media Group. I will be the convener for the ACRL African American Studies group this upcoming year. Nice to meet everyone.
Nice to meet you too. Holly, I'm not going to attempt your last name because I will massacre it, so maybe you could share it with us.
That is not unusual.
Yes.
Hi, I'm Holly Lukenhouse, and I am the first-year experienced librarian at Oklahoma State University, and I will be co-convening the Student Retention Discussion Group.
Great. Sabine.
Let me unmute. My name is Sabine Dantas with Lynn University. I'm an outreach librarian. I'm going to be the co-convener for the Library Marketing and Outreach Interest Group.
Great. It's always nice to have names and faces, because then when we have our meetings at the leadership meeting, I can figure out who people are. So, Sarah Benson. Maybe. Hi, Sarah.
Hi, I am a co-convener for the Copyright Discussion Group. I'm the copyright librarian at the University of Illinois, and I'm co-convening with Carla Myers.
Great. Tiffany.
Hi, I'm Tiffany Salter. I work at Art Store, and my background is in special collections and manuscript librarianship and art history, and I'm the convener for the Image Resource Interest Group.
Welcome. Now, I think that's all of our guests online. If I've missed someone, would you chime in and let me know?
Did we do Scott already?
We did.
Okay.
So now I'll move to our program. So I think that's where we are. And I'm thinking, am I supposed to have a script here? And I missed it. So.
No, this is where you can just sort of welcome people and hope that they've watched the video we sent out in
thank
advance.
you very much. Thank you. So I do want to thank everybody so much for your time today. I know that we're all very, very busy and we're all volunteers, and I can't tell you how much we appreciate your willingness to take on leadership positions and to work on behalf of the membership in ACRL. The roles you play are just so critical. So I want to thank you for the time out today. And if you watch the video, that's wonderful. This today is just so that you can ask some questions and get a little bit of input from us if something came through that you didn't quite understand or we didn't cover it. And if you haven't, then I would urge you to go back and watch the orientation video, because it's just chock full of links and helpful information that as you get into the work, you're probably going to need to refer to, and it answers a lot of questions. And Mary Ellen and her staff are always very, very receptive to helping out, and myself. So if you can't find an answer, please reach out, because we want you to have the tools that you need to be able to do the great job that you do. So welcome. So I'm looking at the Leadership Council slide now. Okay. And wanted to let you know that we will be meeting at midwinter. Annual. It's not winter right now. Annual. And we are trying to work things out so that people are able to see the special guest, Michelle Obama, at ALA. So Mary Ellen and her staff are trying to work this out for us. So we have a Leadership Council and membership meeting on Friday, and that's followed by a kind of meet and greet reception where you can get to meet your fellow ACRL leadership and maybe tackle some big problems while you're there.
Well, and Cheryl,
yes.
Thank you for highlighting that. That is one of the changes we've made, and if those of you that were around at ALA that were able to see Hillary Rodham Clinton, you may recall that there was quite a bit of Secret Service security and people had to line up early to get into the convention center. So I'm not 100% sure whether the printed schedule is going to have a different location, but you are the first group we've been able to tell, and we'll be sending this out in an email as well, that the ACRL Leadership Council will be held in the Hilton, which is a mile closer to the convention center than the Sheraton was. And instead of having a reception after the Leadership Council meeting, we will have some lunch type of food from noon to 1 on Friday, so that we chatted with the section leaders yesterday, and all of them preferred having a reception in advance if it meant trying to get into Hillary. As fascinating as I know Leadership Council will prove to be for you, the presidents and I were not so naive as to think that people would not want to get in line to see Michelle, because honestly, I wanted to get in line to see Michelle too. I think it'll be awesome to have her as a presenter. So I will be talking to the presidents at 3 o'clock today, and even debating with them whether, the pros and cons of whether we should try and end Leadership Council even earlier. We don't know what the Secret Service security detail requirements will be. We do know that there will be express buses going from the Hilton to the convention center, but whether ending at 3 will be good enough or whether we need to cut back a little bit. So there may be some flexibility around this, but we hope that you are able to come, because now that you've heard about all of this, I'm just curious how many of you are able to come to annual conference, because I know more and more work is being done virtually. Maybe you can just put in the chat box. There's Sarah, raise your hand. That works too. Although I have not figured out how to see everybody at once. There's got to be a gallery setting that I'm not finding, but it's not letting me do it with the PowerPoint up.
I can see the participants, and then if somebody raises a hand, you can see it in the participant list, which was at the bottom of my screen. So,
all right, and then the chat box I see.
Yeah.
Kimberly is thinking about doing virtual. Sarah's coming. Excuse me, is that Carissa? Charissa? I apologize. I'm probably not saying that right. Scott's not able to come. So we have a variety of coming and not coming.
Right.
For those of you that are not able to come, one of the things that we will be trying to do is share with you in advance the agenda, and if there's a way for you to participate asynchronously with what we're doing, we will share that and send you a link to where you can share your feedback, because we do recognize that not everybody can get to every meeting. But when you can come, we really do value your participation in these Leadership Council meetings, because it is a way for you to hear directly from the board and for you to give direct feedback to the board about things that you want the association to do. Our strategic planning always comes out of these meetings and listening to what is important to you as member leaders of the organization, because we look at you as the relays between who's in your group and what they need and what kinds of things they're talking about. So maybe what we could do, Cheryl, is just go back for a minute, because I don't know that everybody on the group knows all the staff. So perhaps,
yes.
Marielle, you could go back to those staff photos. And
that would be great.
Introduce everybody. So the one who's blabbing a lot right now is me, Mary Ellen Davis, and I'm the ACRL Executive Director, and I have a fabulous team to work with. Mary Jane Petrowski is our Associate Director. Mary Jane, do you want to say hello?
Hi, everybody. I just wanted to unmute.
All right, that's great. And can we look at the next slide, please? Then we have Marielle Colberry, who you heard at the beginning, who is our program a program officer coordinator working with the interest groups and the discussion
program coordinator.
Yes, I was.
Yes, program coordinator.
You got a promotion that I didn't know about, Marielle. I'm sorry.
Well, I'll take it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hi, everyone. I'm Marielle Colbert. I'm your ACRL program coordinator and staff liaison. I will be working with all of you quite closely in the coming year, and I'm looking forward to it.
That's great. And with Marielle, we have Elois Sharp, who is been a master of helping us figure out how to do virtual meetings and connecting you and your groups to our various virtual platforms. And I think we talked about some of that in the orientation that you were able to, hopefully you were able to watch. Elois, you want to say hi?
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Elois Sharp, and I'm an ACRL program coordinator. I should know this to take my mic off mute.
It happens to all of us, Elois. I totally get it. So thank you. So if you don't remember anything else from the session, know that, as Cheryl said, the board and the staff, we look at this as a team of people that are here to work with you, to support you in what you need and to help you understand how to get the resources you need to carry out the programs and services that you want to do to connect your members and to keep the board informed of the issues and things that are important to your group of people. And then I think maybe we can go to the discussion prompt slide.
Okay. So this is your meeting and your opportunity to quiz us. And I'm sorry, Mary Ellen, if I'm jumping in, just let me know. Say, Cheryl, it's not your turn. Or
no, it's definitely your turn. I've been jumping on your lines probably more than the other, so no worries.
That is totally fine. So we get the job done. Like she said, it's a team effort. So we're kind of curious, what kind of questions do you have about leading your membership groups? And then we've got some prompts there, but I think we'll go ahead and open up the chat box for you in case there's other questions that you might have. See how that looks. So I'm moving over to chat.
Yeah, and feel free to jump in. I know it's a little unwieldy with a virtual meeting, but you have mics. We're happy to take. It's not like there's 100 of us in the room, so feel free to ask a question, or if it's easier to chat, we can do that. I guess we were just so clear. Either that or nobody had time to watch the orientation. I don't know which.
So maybe we could go through some of these questions then about, attending the conference in person and just kind of, maybe we could just, since these are, I think, probably some of the most, from our recollection of working with members, these are some of the most common questions that we get, just for briefly, giving a brief answer to this. So, so we can start with, do I need to attend a conference in person? And I would say that ACRL has gotten much more flexible in terms of providing other alternatives for people in terms of online access and being able to get the information that you need. It's, there's not a requirement for you to attend a conference, but it's also very, very helpful for you to attend and pull people together in your discussion groups. So there's a balance there. We understand that people have, funding restrictions and things. So we try and make it possible for people to participate meaningfully in ways that they can. So did you want to add anything, Mary Ellen?
I think that we encourage you to come to conference if you can find, if there's enough at the conference that engages you beyond just your committee meetings. I don't think anybody expects, if you're just having a 1-hour committee meeting or a 1-hour discussion, that we expect you to find enough money to fly to a city. I think ALA is hoping the conferences are robust enough to do that. And one thing that may not be clear is that the ALA conferences are where the business meetings and the convenings happen. The ACRL conference, which I hope you'll all come every 2 years, we do not host working groups or business meetings or things like that. That's a pure peer-reviewed program engagement, exhibit hall kind of thing. You can have informal meetups with your communities of practice, so that if your interest group or discussion group wants to have a meet up for lunch, or let's have a roundtable discussion or something, but ALA policy does not allow us to have official business meetings at our conferences. So that's maybe the distinction there. And I see that there were some questions in the chat box. So
I scrolled down and I saw them.
Yeah. So Hannah had a question, and some of you that have been leaders for a while may have some tips too. She's asking whether a new interest group, how do you best create a community? And I think that's an excellent question. ALA just launched its brand new Connect space. And so I believe, and Mariel or Lois, correct me if I'm wrong, that the members of a particular interest group will be appearing in that Connect space. And so as a convener, you can post some questions, you can share some resources, you can try and start a discussion kind of thing. One of the things that I realize is that building a community takes work and constant engagement. It's easy to say, I've got a group of people that are interested in the same topic, but if no one is taking the lead in posting questions or engaging, the community isn't very active. So, I think ALA is hoping that eventually the ALA Connect space will become where people are having those discussions that currently they're having on discussion listservs, electronic discussion lists. So, but I think somebody suggested maybe using your listserv to generate some conversation. Let's see, what else is there? Does anybody else have any suggestions for Hannah about how they get their groups engaged, or do you just have groups that are naturally asking each other questions all the time?
With the library marketing and outreach interest group, we have a Facebook page, and it's really it helps us I think grow our membership, and we have a lot of people that are not really ACRL, but there's librarians that do marketing, but we get to share that information within the Facebook page. So I would say I don't know how much it can grow, but I would say Facebook is a good thing. But I do want to expand the listserv too. So I'm kind of because it's about, I looked up before I came to the meeting, it's about 700 plus members in the listserv, but Facebook we have 4,000. So how do we take what we have in Facebook and bring it back over to ACRL in ALA? So that's what I'm thinking about for the next year.
Well, and we staff would be glad to work with you on that, because there's 4,000 potential members there. How do we get, or maybe they're not all members, but how do we get those Facebook people engaged so that they see a value to belonging to ALA and ACRL and can participate in other ways other than Facebook? Your group, since you mentioned it, has done some amazing things with local meetups too. I think you've had a convener that's been doing some stuff, I believe, in the New York areas, which has been very successful, I think, in helping bring the association and the interest locally. So there are those kinds of possibilities as well.
Yes.
Thank you for sharing that.
No problem.
Other ideas from some of the other people?
Well, this is Mary Jane, and I'm just thinking with the new ALA Connect community, that's really, my understanding is, a pretty robust space for you to have discussions. And I know some interest groups and perhaps some discussion groups have hosted kind of ACRL forums that are, open to the members on a topic of interest to the discussion group. So that's another way to reach out.
So feel free to add additional ideas. I see another question in the chat box from Sarah Wenzel about those meeting notes if your discussion group is just discussing. And thank you, Sarah. That is an excellent question. The discussion groups were really intended to be entities that met at annual and midwinter, and they don't have to have any projects, they don't have to have any responsibilities, etc. We do ask that you just send us those highlights so that we know you met and how many people showed up and if there was a topic. That's all it has to be. It can be like 2 or 3 sentences. That just helps us know there's still interest in the discussion group. There are some discussion groups that we have, the board has disbanded due to inactivity. So if you're not meeting, I forget what the exact policy is, Mariel may remember, but I think they have to meet at least once every 2 years or something. And then if not, and Mariel can put up the exact policy. I don't remember exactly what it is, but there's enough regular meeting that we know that there's still a community of people that are interested in it. Because sometimes there's people have an idea and it's a hot topic for 2 or 3 years and then there's no passion around it, and then it's okay for it to go away. But we are looking for some kind of record that somebody showed up and there's still interest in the group. And so if it can be something just simple like that, Sarah, that would help our records. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, and Mary Ellen, just to piggyback that, we do ask that you meet once a year, either in person or virtually.
Thank you, Marielle. I knew I was just, when you talk policy off the top of your head, it's always a dangerous thing. So I'm glad to be fact checked. Thank you.
We had another question about posting the agendas other than relevant listservs, if there were best practices for that. And I think mainly you're just trying to get the word out, right, about your meeting and generate information about your topics. So I don't know if there's best practices, but there's certainly a lot of places to beyond ALA Connect that you could post if you're aware of interest or listservs from other groups that are focused on similar topics to bring people in. But I'd be happy to hear from others who have more social media experience than I do. So
I think I meant also within ALA Connect, because I've only used the old version, which I found rather difficult to use at times. And with the new version, are there new spaces, or is there a new way to make posts public in ways that haven't been there before that I should know about in terms of making things public, so that I'm doing a better job at letting people know that this group exists and that it's open to anybody who wants to attend the meeting. Because right now we have kind of a closed circuit of information. It's mostly ACRL members, obviously, but we could reach out to people in RUSA, maybe bring some of them into ACRL. And it's mostly literature librarians for obvious reasons. But again, we could reach out to folklorists and to other people as well, if perhaps if they knew the group existed.
Well, I think that's a great question, and I'm going to defer to the ACRL team to see if they've had a chance or have heard anything. I have not taken any of the new ALA Connect training yet. It just opened. So I think we're all exploring this together, and I encourage you. I think the IT department is pushing out to all members opportunities for virtual training with Connect, and so I would encourage each of you, who many of you may be meeting primarily virtually, to learn about how best to use Connect to do just that kind of thing. Because I know ALA is really hoping that we build that kind of community and share those kinds of posts. But one of the things I'm remembering is that the new Connect, the default setting is private. So I'm not sure how publicizing things beyond your group might interact with that default setting. Does anybody on the ACRL team had any more chance to look at that than I have?
Not in depthly, but this is Eloise. I do know that according to what we have been told, that the new ALA Connect is supposed to be more intuitive, more robust, and make it more seamless for you to actually interact with new members and members. I just posted in the chat box the ALA Connect. Contact us if you have any questions or concerns that we're not able to answer. And I know that they're, at this particular point, they're still working to get a few glitches rectified. But there's the resource for you to contact ALA Connect directly, and someone in the ITT department can answer any concerns that you may have at this point. But right now, we don't have a lot of information about how it's going to actually congeal itself together in a good way for all the members.
I have to second that, Mary Ellen. Yeah, we are not quite sure how it's all going to work yet, but visiting that page would be useful.
And thank you, Eloise, Marielle, or Mary Jane. Do any of you have I thought I saw an email from Pam Akins that went out to all members about training. If either of you have that and could post it in the chat box, or if it was only to staff, then I'll be quiet. But I thought that they were also trying to push out training to members.
I think there is going to be some training at at annual, and I'll try and find that. But I just wanted to backtrack quickly and say, my understanding is there's a little bit of a difference between interest groups and discussion groups. Interest groups actually are considered what we call a dues product, so we can track who chooses to officially affiliate with an interest group. But discussion groups, we don't really have membership records. So I think when you go into ALA Connect, anybody who is an ACRL member and kind of wants, to express an interest in your group can do that. But it'll be fluid. Whereas if you're an interest group convener, you're going to get membership reports anyway from us on a monthly basis. And you can also see your members reflected in the Connect community.
So we all have a lot to learn about this. So I hope we'll share ideas. One of the things that I believe we mentioned in the leadership orientation is that there is a community of practice listserv, which can be used for both staff to post messages to you, to remind you of upcoming events, invite you to the leadership council, things like that. But we also encourage you use it to kind of post the kinds of questions you're posting now in terms of asking each other how you do things. It can be a great brain trust to rely on each other. I know it's very easy for me to go into my own bubble of, the groups I'm usually working with kind of thing, but a lot of people are doing similar things, and we might as well learn from them rather than reinvent the wheel. So please do use that list. You'll all automatically be added to that list by Marielle if you haven't been already. I'm not quite sure when the turnover is, but it's coming.
And a couple more questions. It looks like Tiffany had a question. Is there a way for new members to join the group outside of when they are renewing their ACRL membership? And so that sounds like the distinction between discussion groups and interest groups might play into that, does it?
Mary Jane, do you want to take that one?
I do. Am I muted?
No, I can hear you.
Okay, so anybody can choose to affiliate with a section or an interest group at any time. So you can do that online. You can just add it at no cost, or you can call the ALA membership office and they will add it for you. But you can do it whenever.
And the ACRL site has a list of all of that, because I was like going through and looking not of all the directions, but just the interest groups and things. I had been going through for something else and ran across the page, but I can't post it because I don't know where it's at right now. But it was nice to see all of the interest groups that we had. So, and then Kim has a question about conveners. We thought about allowing conveners to be in the position for 2 years. Kim's had to recruit someone for a co-convener position as well as lead the group. Just interested in knowing if we can serve in a 2-year capacity in order to have time to bring in someone else to take over. So the current practice is 1-year convener then?
I think that's the current practice, but I know that there have been groups that the same person has convened 2 years in a row. So if your group wants to do that, that is fine. I think where ALA has a limit on 3 consecutive years or something like that, the idea is that people get to share their leadership, but I don't have any problem with 2 years in a row. I think that would work well.
I think I've been the convener of this group for 5 years now because nobody else wants to do it. So it seems to be a little fluid with discussion groups.
Well, and as I like to say, there aren't any ALA or ACRL police. So if there's a group that there's still passion around and somebody's willing to take leadership and no one else is willing to step up, then, you know, we're not going to ask Sarah to step down and then have the group disappear. I think the ALA intent is that people who want an opportunity to take a leadership role would have that opportunity. If there's nobody there, then thank you, Sarah. Yeah. And I was just at a meeting of the American Council of Learning Societies, and the newer executive director of MLA was saying, oh, we love that group. Thank goodness for the librarians. We love working with them on the MLA bibliography. So you serve an important, provide an important service, Sarah.
And it looks like there's a lot of helpful tips that have been posted in the chat box from Eloise and Mary Jane and others about the ALA Connect launch. And it looks like they're going to be providing some hands-on training in New Orleans. And then for those people who aren't able to attend the conference, there's actually some online support how to. Eloise has posted those links. So it'll be an exciting time as we learn a new system. So.
It will, yes, thank you. And I hope we all can help each other out as we do that. So thank you, Elois. I think there was another question, Cheryl, up here that
I'm not
for. I saw one and now I lost it again.
I'm going back through.
Oh, it was about, I can't find it, but I remember saying somebody that their listserv was much bigger than their ALA Connect group. So no, if someone joins a listserv that doesn't talk to ALA Connect, what talks to ALA Connect is your membership record in IMIS. So listservs have typically not been restricted to members of the association. So those will have widely different populations than what you see in ALA Connect, which is supposed to be primarily for members of the organization. So as I think Sabine was saying, if you guys have ideas, we would love to work with you about converting some of those listserv lurkers or those people into membership. You know, I've told the story a number of times, but I was talking to a newer librarian who assured me that while he wasn't an ACRL member, he fully supported ACRL and used all of its resources and participated in its interest groups. You know, that's the kind of person that's on the Facebook page and everything else. And I'm like, but we really need you to be a member. You know, your dues help offset the costs of supporting all these different groups and helping us go open access and develop conferences and things. So we'd love to work with you on converting some of those people to our membership.
Hannah had a follow-up question. She said, by members of the organization, do you mean ACRL or ALA? Because my listserv at least requires an ALA login to join.
Oh, well, that is a question we get a lot. And of course, ACRL is a part of the ALA. And the way the ALA bylaws and policies works, you cannot belong to ACRL without first joining ALA. So there isn't a separate ACRL login. There is your ALA membership, and then depending on what you have paid to belong to within ALA, whether it's a Public Library Association or RUSA or LAM or something, or ACRL, that will then let you log into those relevant groups that you've paid for.
Okay. I think we answered all the questions.
Excellent. Is everybody familiar with how to schedule a virtual meeting, or would you like Elois to do it? We certainly want to respect your time, and if we're done early, there's nothing wrong with ending a meeting early, but we also want to be available in case other things pop into your head, or if you'd like a review on anything.
I'd like to see the new way of scheduling a virtual meeting so that I don't email Elois and say, I know you said there's a way to do this, but I don't know how to do this.
Elois, can we put you on the spot? Because I haven't done one either. Could you show us how to do that?
Sure, Muriel, if you will stop sharing your screen. And I also put the link in the chat box where you can actually book a virtual meeting through LibCal. Okay.
Oh, good. I see the link. Thank you.
Okay. So I'm going to put my...
I love these live on the spot demos. Yay. Elois, thank you for being so nimble.
I was looking at the big poster behind you and going, wow, you guys are like organized. It says interest groups behind Elois. I was like, great.
That's right.
Okay, so can everyone see my screen?
Yep.
Yes. Once you click on the link, it's going to take you to the calendar, and it will default to the very first day that you are able to book a meeting. And if you see the things in green, that means that those particular time slots are available for you to book your meeting.
And we have standard time slots during business hours because it's an ACRL subscription to the room, so a staff member needs to be available to open the room for you.
So if the time slot is green, what you're going to do is you have an option of Adobe Connect or Zoom. And you see right there where I just clicked on 3:00 p.m. Adobe Connect, and now it has turned to a slight goldish color.
Yes.
Okay. Now, why isn't this working?
A challenge with
online.
Exactly, live
Okay.
demos.
Then you go back and you click on, scroll down and click on Connect, and then it's going to bring you here where you're going to put in all your booking details. So it's going to ask you for your first name, your last name, your email address, and then of course your unit type, which in this case it will be an interest group or a discussion group. Let me know if I'm going too fast, and you just continue to scroll down. Give us your unit. Like if you're the Access Services Interest Group, You're going to put that in this particular box right here. The exact title of the meeting, the way you want it to be presented when you send the information out to all of the other members, your estimated number of attendees, and then what type of meeting are you requesting? Is it a committee meeting, a discussion forum? Discussion forums are usually much larger meetings when you are anticipating a larger volume. Or is it a practice session? Let me say, if you're not familiar with Adobe Connect or Zoom, I do recommend that you also schedule a practice session in addition to your live meeting. And then in comments, if you're going to have a discussion forum, we ask that you put in your speaker name as well as their email address so that we can send them a speaker agreement if your meeting is going to be recorded. And then the final step is you simply click Submit My Booking. Once you click Submit My Booking, I will get an email from you stating that you requested a meeting. If it's not around midwinter or annual conference time, you should get a response from me within 48 hours. However, if you're scheduling a meeting around midwinter or annual conference, I recommend that you do that as early as possible because that is the time that virtual meeting requests really spike. And I ask that you give me approximately 5 days, business days, to respond back to you around those particular busy times. It's just that simple. It's very intuitive. All you're doing is entering information in those particular fields and you click submit. Once you click submit and I get the information and I schedule your meeting for you, I'm going to send you your URL directly back from LibCal and you'll get an email in your email box, your inbox.
So Lois,
yes.
I had one quick question that was very clear. The only piece I didn't get is when you clicked on the 3 o'clock and it turned pumpkin. I thought you said then click on connect. Or does this other booking detail just automatically open? Or is there something I have to do after I click on 3 o'clock?
No. After you click on 3 o'clock, you're saying that you want your meeting in Adobe Connect from 3 to 4. That means that slot no longer becomes available in Adobe Connect. If you see the green at the bottom, if you go all the way to the left, that's the Zoom room. So you want to make sure that you're clicking on the correct room. Adobe Connect has the capacity to hold up to 99 individuals, and Zoom has the capacity to hold up to 999 individuals. So it's your preference, but if you know you're going to have a very large meeting, I recommend that you book your slot in Zoom.
So thank you. What I guess I was asking is, after you click the time, do the booking details automatically appear, or is there something else that you have to click to make that booking detail screen appear?
I apologize. Once you click on your booking detail, you just scroll down a little bit and click on Continue.
Great. Thank you.
You're welcome. Does anyone have any questions about booking a meeting in Adobe Connect or Zoom?
Kimberly has some questions in the chat box. She wants to know if there's how to best pick a day for the meeting. Does Connect have any kind of a survey tool, or is there something else they can do for people to indicate their best meeting day? I know that we've used Doodle Polls, which is a free web survey tool that people can use. Just easy to create your own account and you put out the options you're available and people can click. I do not know whether Connect has a feature like that. Does anybody else?
It does not. I will go with what Mary Ellen said, or you can send like a poll through Listserv or something to see what's the best time for individuals to meet. And once you get a consensus for the time, then that's when you want to book your meeting.
And Sarah mentioned another good one. When is good? I have not heard about that one. And Steve asked for us to repost the link. So, Sarah and I we're so helpful, Steve. See, the community is helping already. And welcome. Tiffany wanted to know if the virtual meetings needed to line up with annual or midwinter. You can do it any time of the year. I think Mariel said for discussion groups, we require you to meet at least once. You know, it's been interesting to me. Some people some groups have actually increased the number of times they meet because they started to meet around midwinter or annual virtually and then also met face-to-face. So you figure out what works well for you and schedule it. I will make one plea to those of you that are planning some content for your discussion group or interest group providers. And we would very much like to make it easier for all members to be aware of what you're doing, kind of going back to Sarah Wenzel's question about publicity. And if you just if you're planning a webinar and you just do it all within your own interest group, then not everybody else knows about it. And ALA has an online store where we are trying to put all webinars, all discussion forums, not a business meeting, but if you're really invited one or two people to present on a topic, it's sort of like a mini program. And we want everybody to know about that. And we want to get all that content in the ALA store. Margot Conahan and Aaron Nevius work on our webinar programs, and we'd really like to work with you to offer those under the ACRL umbrella. We have a variety of ways that you can offer these. Some of them are free, some of them we charge a fee for, but we will work with you. But ALA writ large is trying to better serve the members by letting everybody see everything that's available, and they're across all the divisions, all the roundtables, all the interest groups. So we would love to get all of that information into the ALA store. And there's a few forms that we can help you fill out so that it can be submitted. Does anybody have any questions about that? Again, it's not to inhibit what you're doing. You're offering a lot of great training, a lot of great content to your members, but it's to surface it for a broader community than just the one you're working with right now. And you would contact Margot Conahan or Aaron Nevius, and I will type their email contact information in the box.
I think one thing that I've learned living in the Pacific Northwest is that you need to really pay attention to the time changes. The meetings are scheduled for in Central Time, and so that it hasn't tripped me up too bad, but it does occasionally happen. So.
Thank you for saying that, Cheryl. That's correct. And that information is on LibCal, that all of the meetings are in Central Time Zone, but sometimes people forget and they overlook it.
You know, another reminder about your meetings, ALA policy requires us to post notices of meetings 2 weeks in advance because we're a very transparent organization. We want anybody to participate who wants to. So when the board has a virtual meeting, we post it in ALA Connect, and we'd ask you to do the same thing, and Mariel can help you get to where you need to do to post it. So if you're scheduling in LibCal already, then at that same time might be a good time to go, oh yeah, and I got to post up the meeting notice in my Connect calendar and the ACRL Connect calendar, or if ALA goes to an ALA-wide calendar, just so that there is that public notice so that anybody who wants to participate is aware of the meeting and can. And then we're supposed to send in those quick meeting highlights within 2 weeks after the meeting to Marielle, so that we have a record of your meeting and anything that transpired. Again, it doesn't have to, you know, if you're not taking any actions, which discussion and interest groups typically don't, it might just be, we met, we had a robust discussion, and we decided that we're gonna have another conversation in 3 months. It could be that simple.
And we actually see some of that information in our board packets, you know, so we are interested in what you're doing. And so the you know, if we have questions and things like that, sometimes we get back to your interest group or discussion group because we might have a common goal in mind that we could work together on. So
I'd say we, you know, from the staff and board perspective, we want you to be as active and innovative as possible. We ask, though, that you keep us in the loop so that we can support you in what you're doing and surface what you're doing for others. And if you're getting into something that's a little different, like wanting to work with another association or something, then there's some issues involved with the use of ACRL's name, or if there's contracts to be signed, all that stuff needs to come back to the office so we can help you navigate that. As an ACRL leader, you should never be signing an agreement or signing a contract on behalf of ACRL bring that to Marielle. She'll bring it to my attention. We'll look at what needs to be done. And again, not to get in the way of you doing things, but to make sure you're legally covered and that the association is legally covered and that everybody knows, what's going on. We have 8 minutes left. Is there anything else for the good of the order? We went through meeting scheduling, which was very helpful. I had not seen that in a while, so I personally benefited from today's session. So thank you, Elois.
Oh, you're welcome.
Maybe we should go back to that slide of questions. Are there any other prompts, things that might be helpful?
I was thinking, with that with ALA Connect, it's really, really important that the groups do use that, because that is a place that I think makes it possible for everyone who's a member of ALA or ACRL for that transparency aspect. I know sometimes we work with Google Docs and things outside on committees and things, but it's important that we use that ALA Connect just so that we're having those community discussions and surfacing that. So I want to put a plug in for that. And there's a learning curve, but once you get over that curve, it's great because you can go back and see what has happened historically with the group, and it makes just transitions with new leadership and new members who are working on projects. It's just a nice way to capture that, as opposed to sometimes with institutional places that we keep things, it's hard to transfer. So just keep that in mind. That's a really good tool for us to keep transparent with what we're doing and to kind of track information.
Yes, thanks, Cheryl. I agree. Scott had a new question. I'll defer to Elois on this one. I believe, Elois, you're preserving the recorded version of this or the chat, or are we not, because we pre-recorded it?
So I will preserve the chat and put it on our listserv.
Thank you.
Leads and IG Leads listserv.
Thank you, Marielle.
Yeah, of course.
Cheryl, you want to tell them about your program in New Orleans for those that are able to come? You can use our last 5 minutes to do a quick plug and then see if anybody else that's here wants to plug their program in New Orleans or their upcoming virtual webinar.
That is a great idea. I'm really excited. We have a program on creating workplace environments that I'm looking for the exact title. Now you would think I would have it, but I do have a program committee that's been working. We started off with the topic of resiliency and really found out that word means many things to many people, and that led us into a discussion about moving beyond that resilience piece of it. What does a humane organization look like? How do we contribute to that? And we have some very wonderful speakers lined up for you. And this is so sad because this surprised me. So, so I'm checking on information now. So maybe we could move on to somebody else while I'm trying to pull together the announcement for my own program. So,
I just found it, yeah. Cheryl. I'll copy it and put it in the chat.
If you would copy and paste it, and please don't take my lack of my being disorganized this morning as a lack of enthusiasm about the program.
So I totally put Cheryl on the spot, and if somebody had done that to me, I would have been like, well, I can kind of tell you what it's about. I don't remember anything in detail, so I don't know if you want to go highlight anything that I've pasted
I think
there.
It's really about moving beyond resilience, kind of that individual responsibility to how do we create a caring organization together. And so we are bringing in a lot of really interesting speakers, and we hope to have some participation after the panelists share. And So I'd urge you to come, and we've got Emin Terrell is going to speak. We have, oh, I'm just doing such a bad job right now.
And I didn't know where the speaker list was. That was
Yeah,
quick
that's
the
where
publicity
I'm
I had in
looking around for
CNRL News, so I'm sorry.
looking for my speakers list. But does anybody else want to share? And I'll come back to you with the speakers list here in a minute. Other programs that are happening that you're going to be doing.
I'll check the scheduler. I think they're in there.
Oh, I just found it. I just found the speakers on another document. Here we go. There we go.
Okay, so you can see we have a really big, a nice lineup of people, I think, who can address this topic from different perspectives. There's Chris Borg from MIT, Fazi from ETRA, he's a student success librarian. We have Derek Jefferson and Kay Schneider. So there's a really awesome panel, and they all come in with a different perspective on how do we create those organizations. And again, as I said, moving off of that, I have to take everything and be resilient as an individual, but how do our organizations support us? So thank you for letting me stumble through this and get all this information to you today. But if you have time in your schedule, I really hope that you'll come and join the discussion, because I think it's really important to us right now in the profession, because we're all, working in organizations that we can all improve on crafting organizations that support the most important resource in them, the people that we work with. So that's all I'm going to say.
Well, in our last minute, before we go to others, I just want to remind people that we do value your feedback. If you can, after this is done, take our evaluation survey. We totally went to the flipped classroom after people suggested that a couple of years ago. If there are things we can do to make it more helpful, this is your session. We want it to be valuable for future leaders, so please share your ideas with us. But in our last minute, does anybody else want to share an upcoming exciting content and or type it in the box so that we all, your minute of free publicity here.
So
I'll steal it for the Literatures in English and European Studies section and the Zine Pavilion, which has a program immediately before the ACRL program, Zine Cultures as Critical Resistance, which is also a hands-on workshop to build community engagement and student learning. So I highly recommend that. We have great speakers, some of whom are local, and it should be a really great way to start off your Saturday at 9 o'clock in the Convention Center, room 395.
Sounds good.
Wonderful.
Anybody else? Well, Cheryl, maybe you want to just wrap us up here?
Sure. I, again, want to thank everyone for taking time out of their schedules today and for being willing to step up and provide leadership. I want to remind you that we have a great team with Mary Ellen Davis and her staff to help us out. There's a lot of resources that are back in the original orientation program. If you're somebody that likes to dig things out yourself, that's a good place to go. And I'm really looking forward to seeing those of you who are able to attend in New Orleans. And for those of you who are there virtually, I look forward to hearing about your group's work. And I just want to say thank you so much for your service on behalf of our organization. And have a wonderful afternoon.
Thanks, Cheryl. And on behalf of the staff, thanks all of you. I want to ditto what Cheryl said and know that we're all here to answer any questions that might come up after this session today. We'd be glad to work with you. And Marielle is your first key contact, and she'd be glad to hear from you. So thank you, and hope to see some of you in New Orleans or some other venue or online.
Thanks very much.
All right, bye.
And Elois, before we go, Elois wants me to ask everyone to not forget the link in the Survey Monkey.
Okay,
All right, you want to, and that's
I
linked
see
in the
it
chat
on the,
box.
Yes.
Yeah. That good idea. Just do it right now before you forget.
Yes. All right. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
If you have any further questions, you can contact me at mcolbert@ala.org. And I'll put that in the chat box as well.
Bye, Sabine. Bye, everybody.
Bye,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Thank you.
Don't forget to stop the recording.